Hello everyone. In this video I'm going to talk about how to make overlaying stitches using Tunisian crochet. I have not seen this anywhere before, so I am not sure if this has another name, but I came up with it to be able to make this brick-like pattern and a sort of a honeycomb pattern. So I'm going to talk about the different kinds of stitches that I've used to make these patterns and show you how to make them. So if you see that these stitches here, they're sort of laying over the stitches behind. So there are a bunch of coral stitches in the back, and this one sits on top of those stitches. So I'm going to show you how to make these stitches, and there are a couple of ways that I do it. So I'm going to actually have two videos, one for making simple stitches and one for making double crochet stitches. So this video is about making overlay Tunisian simple stitches. So let's get started. I have a swatch here that I made. Excuse the yarn. So this is a simple swatch which has a bunch of knit stitches, and then I made a row of Tunisian reverse stitches. I have separate tutorials for knit stitches and reverse stitches if you'd like to know how to make these. So just like in this dishcloth here, this overlay stitches go over these overlay stitches go over this other color. I added a yellow, so I'm going to make another row now where my overlay stitches will go on top of the yellow, and I'll make those stitches in this reverse stitch row. So before I get started, it is important to understand the parts of this reverse stitch. So my patterns use the reverse stitch, and that is why this tutorial is about making these overlay stitches in reverse stitch. So if you look at this one particular stitch here, so this one, if you look at, so this is the front vertical bar that of that stitch. When that stitch was made, this was the first front vertical bar and this was the back vertical bar, and so the stitch was made in the back vertical bar. So to make different kinds of patterns with the overlay stitches, I make the overlay stitch in one of these, either in the back stitch or in the either in the back vertical bar or in the front vertical bar. So because it's an overlay stitch, it is worked in rows that are before the last row that was made, so it will be worked in rows that in the teal colored rows and not the yellow rows. So I'll make my next row with the teal color, and I will make my overlay stitch into one of these reverse stitches that I made. So if you look at this, the back bar, it has, so this yellow stitch was made into the back bar, so this and this are the back vertical bar. So you could technically make your overlay stitch in just one of these, but just for extra sturdiness, I pick up these both, this one and this one, and make my stitch in that. So that is working it in the back bar. Now we can also make the same stitch in the front bar. So this is the front bar. So that's actually here, this is the front vertical bar of that same stitch. Again, it is okay to make the stitch here in just this vertical bar, but for extra sturdiness, I find the back bar as well. So here, if you look at this stitch, this is the front bar and this is the back bar, and I pick both of them together. So in this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to make both, and I've used both of these in my two different patterns. So the pattern comes out slightly different, and I'm going to show you towards the end how they look different. So I'm going to just start with a few knit stitches. And so I'm going to pick this stitch to make my overlay stitch in. So if you see, I've made 3 knit stitches, so that is on top of these 3 reverse stitches. So this is the next one, and that's where I'm going to make my stitch. The first one I'm going to show you is making it in the back bar. So again, here this is the back bar, and this is the rest of it. I'm going to insert my hook into both of these here. So I pick this and I pick this. So that's the entire back bar, and I'm going to yarn over, pull through, and I'm just going to make a few knit stitches. And next I'm going to make the overlay stitch in the front bar. So this stitch lines up with this one. So this is my next stitch. This is the front vertical bar. Now I could make it in this, or I find the back bar. So this is the front bar and this is the back bar of the same stitch. So I'm going to pick both of these for extra sturdiness, and I go in both of these here, yarn over, pull through, and just complete the row with a few knit stitches. The rest of these stitches could be anything, whatever the pattern calls for. For the purpose of this tutorial, I'm just making knit stitches. So the reverse pass is the same as any other row, Tunisian crochet row. Just chain 1 and then yarn over, pull through 2 loops all the way till the end. Here, this is how it looks. So if you look at the 2 stitches, they're both overlaid on the yellow, but if you look at this one, it sits on top of the stitch, the reverse stitch, and this one sits below it. So there's a slight difference in how it looks. This pulls the thread from below the stitch and this pulls the thread from above the stitch. So if you would like to work with these and to see how to use them to make different patterns, you're welcome to look at one of mine. I will have links to them in the description, and both the honeycomb and the brick pattern use these, but they use them differently. Like, in some instances I use this one, and in some instances I use this one. So the effect is different, but again, if you would like to check out how they look in different what patterns you can make with these, you're welcome to look at the description, and you will find links to the patterns there. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me, and I will get back to you as soon as I can. Thank you.